The lunch crowd filled Sunrise Diner with cheerful conversation as waitresses hurried between tables, carrying fresh coffee and hot meals. Families laughed together in cozy booths. Truck drivers discussed their routes over pie, and the smell of freshly baked bread drifted through the restaurant. It felt like an ordinary afternoon. Near the front window sat 16-year-old Grace Carter in her wheelchair. A serious car accident several years earlier had left her unable to walk, but she refused to let her disability define her. Every Wednesday after school, she visited the diner, ordered her favorite grilled cheese sandwich, and spent an hour reading or writing stories in a small notebook. The staff adored her, Mrs. Miller, the owner, always reserved Grace's favorite table by the window. As Grace quietly turned another page in her novel, the front door swung open. 4 teenage boys walked inside laughing loudly. Their voices immediately drew attention. After ordering drinks, they noticed Grace sitting alone. One of them smirked. "Look who's blocking the best table!" Grace looked up politely. "I'm sorry if I'm in your way." She said, "There's another empty booth right over there." Instead of walking away, the boys surrounded her table. Another teenager laughed. "Did anyone ask you?" The conversations around the diner slowly faded. Several customers glanced toward the group. Grace lowered her eyes and returned to her book, hoping they would lose interest. Instead, one of the boys reached across the table, grabbed the book from her hands, and tossed it onto the floor. Everyone gasped. Grace leaned forward, trying to pick it up, but her wheelchair made it difficult. Before she could reach it, another boy pushed her glass of lemonade across the table. The drink spilled into her lap. The boys burst into laughter. Mrs. Miller hurried over. "That's enough," she shouted. "Leave her alone." The tallest teenager rolled his eyes. "We're just having fun. Your idea of fun ends now, Mrs. Miller replied firmly. Grace quietly wiped the lemonade from her clothes. "I'll be okay," she whispered. As she bent to retrieve her glasses, which had slipped onto the floor, the tallest bully suddenly slapped her across the face. The sharp sound echoed through the entire diner. Silence followed. Grace's head turned from the impact, and a red mark appeared on her cheek. Several customers immediately stood. Mrs. Miller stepped between Grace and the teenagers. "Get out," she shouted. Right now, the boys laughed and slowly walked toward the exit, acting as though nothing had happened. One customer quickly called the police, while another helped Grace pick up her book and glasses. Although tears filled her eyes, Grace forced a small smile. "I'm okay," she said softly. Nearly an hour later, the diner had become quiet again. Then the deep rumble of motorcycle engines echoed through the parking lot. Every customer turned toward the windows. More than 20 motorcycles rolled to a stop outside. Leather-clad riders climbed off their bikes and calmly walked toward the entrance. The front door opened. A tall, gray-haired biker stepped inside, removed his helmet, and looked directly at Grace. He smiled warmly. "You must be Grace," he said gently. "We heard what happened." The room fell silent once again, as no one realized that the strangers walking into the diner were about to turn one girl's worst day into a moment she would never forget.